that are coming out from Nigeria. And today is Nigeria's independence. Yes, this is Nigeria's Independence Day, October 1, 1960. Nigeria gained independence from British rule, and every 1st October we get to celebrate it. But we don't just celebrate our Independence Day, we look at how far we've come, the gains, the errors we've made, the problems that we need to address, and of course, we look at the future. Once again, my name is Mary Ann Okon. I'm a broadcast journalist, and I'm not going to have this conversation alone. I have two broadcast journalists from two different sides of the country who will be joining me to have this conversation. So, Nigeria at 60, a 60-year-old person is a grown adult, who's able to make decisions, and most times very wise decisions. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Fidelis Mba. He's a broadcast journalist. He's joining us from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Thanks for joining us, Fidelis. I know that you're joining us from your car. You had to park somewhere to have this conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Marianne.
And of course, joining us from River State, Nigeria, is Choma Ezenwafo. She's a broadcast journalist also. Choma, it's good to have you join us. I also know you raced home so that you could be part of this conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. Happy
Independence. So, like I was saying earlier on, every time we celebrate, independence, we roll out the drums. When I was a kid, I had to go to the stadium, and there would be match pasts. During the military rule, yes, there was match past, and then we now had civilian rule where they said, we had to put a stop to the match past. We could have dance past, and there are so many festivities to mark Oktoberfest. But for today, we're talking about the Diamond Jubilee of Nigeria, and I'm going to start by saying that a lot of national dailies today have had very interesting headlines. I had to write some of them down because they were very interesting. One newspaper actually said, our diamonds forever. Another newspaper said, a diamond, no gemstone. That's, I think, the Vanguard. And the Guardian said, when diamonds come cheap. I've seen so many ridiculous headlines. But I'll start with you, Fidelis. How well have we done as a country? I asked this question on Twitter yesterday and 2 days ago. How well have we done as a country? Looking back at 60 years, I'm not up to 60, I'm half the age of Nigeria. Do you think that we have at least scratched the surface of being a great nation?
Well, I think it's a kind of... on one part, I would say we've not done so well. On the other part, I would say to some extent we've recorded some milestones because with the way Nigeria is made up of several ethnic groups, different religions, different people, different culture, and all that coming together to have stayed for 60 years without, breaking up. At least that's a milestone. Even though we've had our ups and downs, I think the only time the major threat to the existence of Nigeria was between 1967 to 1970, when there was a civil war by Biafra, because of those agitating for Biafra from the southeast region of the country. But beyond that, yes, we've had our ups and downs like every other country. But again, you look at it. If you're 60 and you're still crawling, it doesn't speak well of you. We have huge potentials. We have the resources. We have the right manpower. If you go across across the world, Nigerians are trailblazers in different professions. Nigerians are doing so well across the world. And then you begin to ask, what is it that has made it impossible for them to thrive back home? We're not just talking about this year or the last 5 years or the last 10 years. We're talking about since 1960. And, we understand. I know that, people will say many years of military rule before now. But we've had enough time to at least lay a very solid foundation upon which we should be able to build upon that, and then be able to progress as a country. But we still have issues of religion dragging us back. We still have yeah.
Hmm. Yes, I would say yes. Is that answer is kind of obvious for a lot of Nigerians, considering how we celebrated today, which is the fact that no, we haven't seen the kind of growth that we were hoping that we should be having by now as a country that is 60 years or that has been independent for 60 years. When you look at the health sector, when you look at the education, when you look at us entirely, our governance system, and the way we generally respond to issues when they happen, it's obvious that we haven't. Uh, we've actually there's been a lot of retrogression compared to, my father would tell me those days that he could walk into a place. I think he talked about how he bought his first car ever. He bought in Kaduna, and he was able to just go, give the money cash, and took his car home. They keep describing how easy life was, and a lot I can't say. So I can't say same for me now, because there's always, you can't just go get stuff anymore. There's always a block somewhere. There's always going to be a challenge of some sort where you can't get the regular things that you should ordinarily be able to access as a citizen of Nigeria. But I must also say, can you hear me? Okay, so I must also add that if I am to, because I've actually been saying today that I'm celebrating Nigeria today, despite what I just said, because there's still something right with Nigeria, which is the fact that her people appear to be woke now, if you know what I mean. There's now that wokeness, and that wokeness for me is worth celebrating, because I know there were times that people weren't interested, and no one cared, and today we have people come out to the streets and protested about the conditions of the country and how they want more. They're actually demanding for better governance. For me, that's something to celebrate. In Lagos, in Lagos. Mm. And say, oh, mm, okay. So I think we should actually celebrate the fact that we have more Nigerians who are aware and following governance and asking questions, and the silence of the questions they've asked, they are actually reacting that, oh, this is how, this is not, they're actually demanding for good governance. For me, that's something to celebrate, Miriam. Mm.
Poverty has been a big issue in Nigeria. Unfortunately, 2 years ago we became the poverty capital of the world. I think we took over from India or something like that. And again, it's under President Buhari's watch. I mean, this is not in any way trying to make the president look bad. We're looking at Nigeria's progress through 60 years. So let's start with Mr. President's speech today. For those of you who watched, I just have a little clip just play. I put some bits and pieces, some things that I thought that was of interest to me, and then I would like you guys to just listen and give me your thoughts on it. So here's Mr. President's independence message today.
Increasing our commitment the level of
Tell me exactly what you think of some of the things that Mr. President has said.
since coming into office.
I'm sorry, guys, just hold on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gotten rid of Mr. President's video. So I'm coming back to you guys. Choma, the first thing I noticed that is he talked about an increased commitment to peaceful coexistence, a secure and peaceful Nigeria.
I think we lost Marianne again.
Yes. I can hear Marianne. I think we lost her there. Hi, Marianne, can you hear us?
Okay, we'll just hold on. I'm sure she'll be back. And she's back.
Hi, Marianne.
Marianne, we can see you, but we can't hear you yet. Okay, I know that before she went away, she was actually
apologies. My internet's stuff. These things happen.
Yes.
So we're back. So we're looking at the reality in Mr. President's speech. Is there really a commitment for a peaceful coexistence in Nigeria?
Yes, I think you asked me that question, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
did.
asked
me before you went off, right?
Yes.
I think if you look at before the speech came on, which was around this time yesterday, was when the president finally decided, I guess, to have his traditional broadcast, independence broadcast happen. Because before that time, they had said that there was going to just be a live, he was going to attend the parade and then talk to Nigerians from there. And then around this time, they now said they were going to go and do the traditional broadcast. For me, that kind of made it look like it was an afterthought. And the afterthought of it reflected in every way of that speech. Okay? The fact that it wasn't something they've always planned. October 1 is static, it doesn't change. So, whatever plan the presidency may have had before now, we had expected that it would be clear, communicated to the people clearly, but all the back and forth was also seen in that speech. So, if you ask me how real it seemed to me like someone just sat and said, isn't it better you use the speech to explain, to tell Nigerians yourself that nothing is going to happen about the pump price? We're going to have to just deal with it because ours is even still the cheapest, according to his speech. So I think it's still far away from what reality is, and it didn't seem to me like he's completely understood how Nigerians really feel about the increase in the pump price specifically.
Um, well, I'll look at it from this point. For the president, if you're the president, you don't really have, to some extent, 100% control over how elections are conducted in the country. Um, Judging by the way, I mean, you can preach free and fair elections, and the electoral officials will go and do a different thing in the field. Yes, some elections have had people have condemned some elections that they did not meet the basic requirements for a credible election. But then again, to some extent, we've also had a few elections that people will say, okay, yes, um, that they met the standard. Like, I give you an example, the one about Edo State. To some extent, people felt the will of the people, that votes counted. You yeah, the one of Oshun had issues, and sometime was it last year, 2018, when people, talked about how the governor didn't really meet the threshold and all that, and they had to go to the tribunal, had to go to court and all that. So it's been a case of some have been good, some have been bad, but to some extent, again, I think it's just beyond. It's not just for the president; it's also for the National Assembly, especially to strengthen our institutions, so that the Independent National Electoral Commission, for instance, will see it as as something that is of national interest to hold credible elections, because I don't think the president gives an order for them to maybe rig elections. I don't think any president would give that order. Even yes, the president might have an interest in his party candidate emerging as the winner, but then the onus is on INEC officials to ensure that when people vote, that actually their votes count.
I think it was Fidelis who said so.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I always, every conversation we have about Nigeria, I always make mention of the fact that those are the biggest problems that we have in this country. We're divided along the lines of religion, ethnicity, and political parties. And I remember under the Goodluck Jonathan, because of these divisions, there had to be a rebranding of the country where we had Nigeria, good people, great nation. We always say that, where to get at this, that our diversity is supposed to be what unites us, but it's the other way around. And in all of these divisions, politicians, bad politicians, have taken advantage of the lines that we have refused to blur and capitalize on those things to continuously separate us. For example, we no longer look for a good leader per se, or someone to run for office who's capable of leading us. We're not looking at his dossier to say, oh, he's intelligent, he's capable, he's a good business person, he's great with finance. We no longer look at those things. We're looking at where's he from, what religion does he believe in. I mean, these are the things, and so these things that we are interested in somewhat kicks out the important things in picking a leader, and that's why we're where we are. So is there any way or in the future that we can get these things, or is it just part of us as a people? And how far can we go if we continue to think this way? Fidelis. Oh, I think we lost Fidelis. Okay, Choma, I think you're going to have to attempt that.
Yes, I was going to. I was just processing what you were saying, and I realized that it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always that we would look at where we come from or our religion before we would decide what direction we should go as a country. And because it wasn't always like that, it means that we can still get it right. Another reason I'm celebrating independence. We can still get it right, and still, but it should begin with us even admitting that religion and the ethnicity that we are so very sensitive.
But the truth is, yes, we believe in Nigeria. We believe that there might be a change, but can we get that change now? Because it's one thing to have a problem. It's another thing to realize that you have a problem so you can get it solved. In our case, it looks like we don't even realize or admit that we have a problem. So how will we change it? Because it seems like we're okay with how things are happening here.
Yes, I actually believe that the media, civil society organizations, even the religious organizations, they have a role to play in helping us come to that awareness that is not supposed to be. I've actually listened to some clergymen, at least the one that organized the platform. When you listen to him, it appears to me that he's one of many that have now begun to see the role they should play. Okay, and they've learned that their role in nation building, it's beyond the way it's being processed right now. And so if you can have more and more clergymen thinking the way he's doing right now, thinking nation building the way he's doing right now, I believe we're going to blow that out. Then for the issue of ethnicity, that's where our traditional rulers come in. These are people of influence, and they can actually play a role. Civil society organizations, the media, can help these traditional rulers play that role of, should I say, enlightening the everyday man. That whether you're Igbo, whether you're Yoruba, whether you're Hausa, Efik, and
Okay.
have people becoming more aware now that they have a role to play in governance, and they're asking questions. So yes, the people, in this case, I would say the people, and they are also the ones that can draw us out and bring us to the place that we desire to be. The people. It's never the leaders, it's the people. We are a reflection of the society we've created for ourselves. our leaders, where did they come from? Come from society. They come from us. They were first people of Nigeria before they became the leaders, isn't it? So if and when we look at the party structures as well, the way our political parties are structured in Nigeria is not structured to encourage people of competence, people of what we call technocrats. They are not. It's almost as if it's designed to frustrate people like that out of the system. So when we
No, I
yes,
totally agree, Chairman. The Nigerian system is, is designed in such a way that it takes it takes a miracle for anyone to succeed in doing anything. I mean, things that you can easily look at. Let's even start with this live broadcast. Just something as simple as internet. I can't get a good internet connection. I'm paying so much for internet connection, it's not working. You go to even other smaller countries, it's working. You see a Nigerian doctor, he goes overseas, he has the right equipment, he has everything, he's able to succeed because the environment is right. He has all the equipment he needs. He comes back to Nigeria, the same doctor, his old salaries, there's no equipment for him to work with, and it now looks as, and then the next time he's going on strike, and it looks as if he doesn't know what he's doing. So we need to do better.
I've gone to a hospital. I recently I have had to cost to go to hospitals every single day because I have a family member who's not feeling well, and I discovered that we have no healthcare system. Unfortunately, if you do not belong to a private HMO of sorts, you cannot get access to great healthcare. I mean, you get less than nothing. Um, I took a family member to the hospital, and we were trying to, get them to do some tests, and we had to buy everything down to buying a scissors in the hospital. Chama, we had to buy scissors, we had to buy gloves for the nurses. We literally bought everything. So let's talk about Nigeria's healthcare system. Um, is there any way that we are going to be able to address this? Again, I ask, is it about leadership? Is it us, the people? Because we have very intelligent doctors, and the government had been complaining that there is a flight. We're having too many doctors go abroad. I mean, they're running to the NHS and they're running to the US. So I'm thinking to myself,
yeah.
what is the problem of healthcare delivery in Nigeria? Let's start from there.
I think when you look at the budget, we've Nigeria. One of the themes we've always seen is that we do not prioritize what we ought to prioritize: health, education. They do not get a good. I can't remember any time that we passed the budget and then the stakeholders in the healthcare system celebrated the what was budgeted for them. There's always been that call for more to be budgeted for the healthcare system. But then again, when you look at even what's being given, I tried at some point to do reports on tracking the money that go into the healthcare sector, and I had found that many a times there's a lot of we've had a lot of I think corruption basically. So even for the one that comes in, the system is so prone to corrupt practices, and it hasn't allowed for even the one that is finally budgeted to be used effectively. And then we have a lot of the role of the federal government, the role of the state government, and the role of the local government are not well
wants
Credit Queens and Wales.
okay.
To wish Nigeria a great and noble future.
Healthcare system, yes. Yes. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Can't use it.
Where do we start? Where do we, I mean, how do we even address this if the people themselves who are telling us that they have given us good healthcare cannot even use that healthcare? What does that say about us?
Yes, thank you for even highlighting it. Medical tourism is also one of the problems of our healthcare system. And we had expected that one of the things that would have happened, or since the COVID-19 exposed the more the problem of our healthcare system. And I had expected that we would have some sort of a ban on medical tourism, and to show seriousness in all that we've said, the what they call it, the presidential task force that kept briefing and saying all sorts. I'd expected that one of the many things that would have been said to show seriousness in fixing and revamping the healthcare system would have been to ban medical tourism. A lot of health care focused civil society organizations continue to ask that that should happen, because we notice that because we have alternatives, because our leaders have the alternative to run to an Indian doctor or a hospital in India, it's not seen that you can stay here. And then even the hospitals, the private hospitals that, okay, like I think during the lockdown where the airports were closed and then they had to stay here, we know that they still couldn't go to the federal and the state hospitals. They had to go to the private hospitals that are also very expensive, even for them as leaders. So I believe that banning medical tourism in Nigeria is going to help show that government is really serious. And until that is done, whatever we're saying about our healthcare system is still lip service. And same for education. Until we say that our leaders, as long as you're in public office, your children cannot go abroad to study. They have to pick a school owned by the federal government, owned by the state government. Then we would see that those classrooms that are without desks, those classrooms that are without roofs and flooded, without toilets, without water, would suddenly become the schools that we want. And that's just where it should begin, Miriam. That's just where it should begin. And why it's a no-brainer, why is a no-brainer, and why our leaders are still not considering it also shows what you mentioned earlier. The fact that the elites take advantage of the situation, the way we have our country. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. So I was saying that we have because we have our country the way it is, it's not serving the people. It's, not serving the people, not ever citizen centered. Of course, the leaders benefit from it. Even when we have all kinds of programs and policies come out, and it looks as if, okay, like we have the NHIS, that's the health insurance scheme. It's supposed to serve the ordinary Nigerian, but how many of those Nigerians have access to that insurance scheme? And when you look at it closely, mm, mm, mm. And that's another thing again. That's why I said that it's time that we have civil society organizations like what we have in South Africa. What's his name again? Malema. It's time that, yes, it's time that we have civil society organizations that are really focused on bringing people, the dividends of democracy by asking and demanding accountability from all. Yes. So it appears some of them have fund issues. Yes. Mm. The thing is that we do not have enough of civil society organizations functioning the way SERAP is functioning. Up until SERAP came on board, yes, clearly. Can you hear me? Really, I can hear you.
We're still celebrating Nigeria at 60, but then is there anything really worth celebrating? We're looking at our healthcare system, we're looking at the unemployment status of Nigeria, we're looking at poverty. 2 years ago, we became the poverty capital of the world, and this is a country where we're considered the most populous in Africa. We're also considered the big brother on the continent. But looking at our realities, it is a huge departure from the reality that is on the ground. We've got Fidelis back on. Hopefully we can get him. Oh, I think we lost Fidelis again, but Choma is here. So we're looking at all of those things. If you have questions, please post them. Redmaster, yes, we know that you're in America. Thank you for joining us. We apologize for the internet drama. So let's move away from healthcare. Let's talk about poverty and unemployment. You can't talk about unemployment without talking about our poverty status in the country.
Yeah.
Now, I think I was the most disturbed when I heard that we were the poverty capital of Nigeria in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And
2015.
right now, Nigeria
2015.
20,
2015.
2015, I beg your pardon. Yes. And now we're gradually sliding into a recession. Our borrowing has hit, its highest ever. As we speak, unemployment is also at its highest ever. So the federal government has released the um, sustainability fund. That's what the survival fund is for MSMEs, and they're saying that it's a grant per se. They're not going to ask you for the money back. I interviewed the SSA to the president on public policy, and he did make mention of that. How do you understand, or what do you understand about the survival fund, and how can it address the poverty situation in Nigeria? Not just about the fact that the
Okay, I think when it was first started, we saw it as a good idea, but when you look closely, you'd see that it's not sustainable. Number one, and if we really want to have a system or a program that would serve small businesses in Nigeria, we need to be holistic about it. Holistic, because we will begin to address the salient issues. When you we've talked about ease of doing business since this administration came, but we haven't seen it really happen at the federal level, at the state level. We haven't seen ease of doing business happen. Yes, for right now, at the stage that we are in our economy, any kind of help is good, is great. Okay, so survival fund, oh great, and I hope the businesses that get to have those grants really use it the way they have planned it in that program. But helping businesses shouldn't begin with those kind of funds, because the funds is actually to help you deal with the burden of paying your employees. And that's not where the problem of the business owner starts in Nigeria. The problem of the business owner is the bureaucracy of government. Do you know how difficult it is for you to get past all the taxes and levies that you have to pay as a business owner? It's very difficult. Okay, at some point in River State, we weren't sure who to pay tax. Business owners weren't sure where to pay what. And at the state level, you're still also being asked of the same thing. So I think Northern Fund, great, good idea, but of course, as it is in Nigeria, it doesn't address the key issues for business owners. I've spoken to some traders, I've spoken to some business owners. They are not even aware of it yet. So it means that we are back at it again, that we have this beautiful program designed for business owners in Nigeria, small, medium enterprises, but they are not even aware of it. No one is doing any kind of promo of any sort, or promoting the program to let people know that this is how they can access this kind of grants. And
I actually remember asking Mr. Ajuri Ngelale this question: how many people are really aware of this government rollout program? Because you're saying you're going to be helping the average person on the street who's a barber, a vulcanizer, a mechanic, a hairdresser. How many of these people have access to the internet? How many of these people know that there is such a thing? And he said, oh, well, it's out there. Everybody knows about it. And I went on the website. The first thing that hit me was it was not live. So that's also an issue. They said the website was going to be live, but it wasn't live. So how do people even access a website that's dead?
Okay, let me just mention that as we're talking about it, and I just tried to open the site, survivalfund.ng, right? And what's looking at me right now is forbidding. You don't have permission to access these resources. Additionally, a 403 forbidding error was encountered while trying to use an error document to handle requests. All that English for an average business owner is frustrating. They're not interested. If the federal government should be able to set up a system, we can afford as a country to set up a system that when we say it's going to work, it will actually work. And we need to start functioning like that. Can you hear me? We need
Yes,
to
I
start
can hear
functioning like
you.
that. And at that point, because one of the many things the government is expected to do is to reassure the Nigerian people so that they can trust them again. And until we have people who trust their government, we can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so until we
Yes.
have people who trust their government, there's a lot that we cannot do. Because when we government can't do everything, it's because we, okay, now they've probably sent a report to the presidency and said, yes, we've rolled out the program is on. But here I am, I kind of said the website. I don't know who is explaining to us why the website is not accessible. I understand that last week it was there's actually a schedule for that funding. I know that educational institutions were supposed to be the first to register,
Yeah.
and then by Friday, they I think another sector, I think the health sector now, I'm not sure, we're supposed to be the ones to register after the educational institution are done with it. But no, apart from what we heard the administrator in charge of this program say at the beginning of the program, we haven't heard anything about. I work in the media, so let's say that's me. I'm supposed to have more access to information than the average ordinary Nigerian, right? But I can tell you that we haven't heard any other new thing about the funding, how it's going, how to avoid any form of corruption, or how do you know if fraudsters want to do stuff? Because of course, that's also another challenge in Nigeria. When the good program is rolled out, we have people who want to also take advantage of it to defraud people. So can we have the yes, that's actually a different conversation. But I had to quickly mention it here because the lack of communication between the people and the government and and the people that they serve, it's creating and giving room to such fraudsters to play on and function. Because when you Google or you want to check out or get more information about what government said they're doing for you, and you don't find it, of course, it's going to be the fraudster that will answer you. And they know that communication gap is so wide right now. Either it's within the presidency or between the presidency and the people, they are still not able to communicate government policies. And that remains a challenge. And while we're having this conversation about Nigeria, we should also mention it. Mm. For me, I would say that if if we look at the Jeff, the man's name is Jeff. He came to our station this morning with carrying that, and the truth is, the inscription is a reflection of a lot of Nigerians on social media. Hashtag Nigeria at 60 and useless was trending, and that's that's like a reflection of the average Nigerian's thoughts, because they do not get why they should be celebrating while the cost of electricity, oh yes, they said it's been suspended, but people are still paying. It hasn't reflected. It hasn't. They haven't reversed. It hasn't. Mm. And but I'm also aware that their regulator, NERC, had actually sent out a directive and ordered all the 11 discos to go ahead and return to status quo of what we had as of August 31. So I had expected that by now people should feel, I believe that if people had begun to feel the impact of that reversal, I think maybe we would have had more people celebrating today. But we do not have anything like that happening. And by the way, in River State, schools are starting on Monday. But 1,000 naira fuel gets you only 6 liters. And then you can't pay your electricity bills because they are outrageous. I was telling someone, or rather, someone was telling me that his 14,000 naira worth of electricity units, that used to be about 400 units for him, all of a sudden just goes down to 200 units. The same cost, but you have lesser units. And no matter how you want to have other kinds of conversation, the realities just stare you in the face. Mm. Well, before we go, I need to also quickly mention that yes, the realities are clear, like we've discussed, but we yes, I'll say that we need to check the mindset. You know, the message that is going on right now, while we admit that there's so much wrong, it's very important that we pay attention to the mindset, the way we are seeing what is wrong in quotes. The way we are seeing it is going to determine how we go from here. If we see half empty, if we see half full, it lies with us, the media. Because I was going through Jimmy Disu. I was going through his discussion earlier today, and I totally agreed with him when he said that media organizations need to start writing to that time where we actually play a role, choose the words that we use, because we shape the society with what we write.
Mhm.
So I think now more than ever, we need journalists to play that role and be responsible enough to write, yes, write the truth, write what is fair, write what is balanced, but be aware that you are shaping society, and we need to shape our society to have faith in this country, because at the end of the day, you are in Nigeria and we have nowhere else to go.
Exactly.
So we have to
And
prepare
even if another country takes you, you're still not going to be you're not going to be Nigerian in another country. You're going to have to be a Canadian Nigerian or something. I'm just saying.
Yes, that name will always go with you, no matter where you travel to.
Yes.
So while we look to the coming days and coming years, it's important that all. That's why I had initially disagreed with the celebration for 1 year, but we're looking at it closely now and seeing and feeling the pulse of the people. I would say that perhaps we actually need to celebrate for 1 year. The program or the plan that the federal government is planning to roll all through till 2021 September 30th, I believe and hope that it focuses on shaping mindsets and behavior of the people, the attitude of the people. Yes, we accept the governance is bad and a whole lot is bad, but let's begin to see our role in it. As a people, see you as a key player in shaping Nigeria rights. We need to begin to talk more of that and help people see what they can do. That when you go to your office and you do your job and you do not cut corners, that is you playing a role to shape Nigeria.
Yes.
Whatever that job is.
I think Nigeria needs to be rebranded. I totally agree with you. But Choma, we have to go. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation. As usual, the internet has not been friendly to us, but I'm sure we were able to get the information out there. Thank you so much. Choma Ezenwafo is a journalist, a broadcast journalist from River State in Nigeria, and that's the South region of Nigeria where all of the oil is. And of course, we lost Fidelis Mba, who's also a broadcast journalist. He's a formerly with Al Jazeera, formerly with BBC, but I think the internet on his past was really bad, so we had to let go. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching Red Master Black Sox. Pablo Pitta. Let's see. I just want to make sure I say thank you to everybody. Brett Walker, thank you for always watching. Joshua Billings, Divine Favor Chidera, Joshua. Okay, Bongwame. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you next time on Conversations with Mary, and hopefully the internet will be very, very favorable. Thank you very much, Choma, for being part of the show. Thank you, guys.